Welcome to another chapter of figuring it out. I'm a girl who loves deep relationships. However, most of my personal experiences have not given me the opportunity to have these relationships for as long as I have desired. And it made me feel like whoever came into my life only had a limited time to spend. But it took me a while to realize the reason why I felt this way. So the thing is, there's something called the fear of abandonment, and it is the feeling that the people that you have called close, that they will abandon you one time, they will leave you. They may not want to stay with you, and because of that fear of abandonment, you literally do whatever it takes to keep them, and it means probably tolerating things that you wouldn't tolerate depending on the level of importance you've placed them. It also means putting down some of your boundaries in order to keep them. And also could express a form of attachment. Sometimes that may not be healthy. And for me, figuring out my attachment style to with people, figuring how I attach to people, made me to become more aware of the consciousness on how I had to guard my heart. I'm not saying I'm even there yet, but the truth about life is that every people should have a way to live your life. Like, nobody should feel trapped being with you. Nobody should feel compelled to be with you. There's a sense of security we need to have with ourselves, that when people come in contact with us, they don't feel so important that if they are not there, you wouldn't function. Now, the thing is that depending on what our weakness is, depending on what it is that we admire the most in people that we don't find ourselves, those things could be a pointer to why we attach to people in a way that is not healthy. Sometimes even if the relationship is a healthy relationship, if we've not dealt with the way we relate, the way we attach to people, if we've not dealt with the unhealthy patterns that come with them, even if that relationship is healthy, we may find ourselves being the one that instigates unhealthy patterns within that relationship. And because not everyone is perfect, so even if you find somebody that is healthy in a lot of areas of their lives, because they too are not perfect, if you yourself still has a lot to deal with, you could be the problem in that relationship, whether it is platonic or romantic. You could be the problem in it. And one of the things I had to realize about adulting and figuring things out is that one has to, as much as possible, be intentional about every area of our lives: mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. Nobody is going to come and do the work for you. And the truth is that no matter how much anybody loves you, there is an amount of commitment you have to have with growing yourself, with being better with yourself, that somebody else cannot do. So to a great extent, people can only help you facilitate what you are willing to work on. Now, even if you're in a state of your life where you actually need a push, you need an encouragement, the truth is that you have to be willing to want to work on your life in order for their own efforts to actually make it sense. So one of the things I had to figure out was that I feared people abandoning me. And it was something that I struggled with for a long time in my life. And interestingly enough, even though I never physically begged anybody to stay, even though I would actually make it look like, okay, the door is open to you, I would encourage attitude that would allow people who had continuously trampled on my person, I would continuously give them a free access to my life. Now, I prided myself as someone who had a sense of boundary, and I did a vlog previously on people pleasing, and I realized that because of that, I don't want to be the bad girl, I want to be the good girl and all that stuff. And sometimes giving people they were not meant to still have access based on what they had showed me, still giving them access in order to make them feel like, okay, I've forgiven you. But the truth is that sometimes forgiving someone doesn't mean giving them access again to your life, because they've shown you who they are and you realize that who they are is not healthy to your being. So even though you forgive them, even though you choosing not to have anything against them, that doesn't mean they are meant to have access to your life. That doesn't mean they can walk in the way they want back. They need to know that there is a boundary to their behavior. So the fear of abandonment is a big thing, and the truth is that in order for even my relationship with God to really have effect, I have to come to the point where I am willing to make that decision that God is enough for me. That God, the word of God said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. I have to come to the point where I am willing to trust that even if nobody is around me, God is with me. And these things come in place in just how we treat our relationships. When you put a person in a place where they are in a pedestal, we cannot call them out on what they've done. You hold on so tightly to them even if they are not good for you. It's more like putting them in that category as though God is not as important, because the way we actually show God is important to us, it reflects on how we relate with people. But it also means that we are willing to accept when people no longer want to be with us. And accepting it also means, aside from not clinging on to them and being obsessive over them, is also giving ourselves or forgiving ourselves to be willing to let them go, mentally, emotionally. And if somebody does not want to be in your life for one reason or the other, then let them go. Let them go, and give yourself the permission to let them go. One of the things that some of the quotes I've read that I've realized is true, that whoever is meant to stay in your life will stay. Sometimes maybe not in the same timeline, maybe in another timeline they would return. But when people realize that they are free to go, they are not bounded by staying with you by force, you realize that it also gives that confidence that your space is healthy enough. And I know that it's going to be a peak. It's a level of maturity that one keeps on going into. But most importantly is realizing that my relationship with God is the most important relationship I would ever have. And if I allow Him to always be priority in my life, it's going to trickle down to every other relationships that I have. And that doesn't mean not working on myself. That doesn't mean not seeing where to improve. That doesn't mean not being open to correction. But it also means I give myself the permission to be. I give my permission to enjoy whoever God brings into my life. Some people are there just for a season. Some people will not stay for the rest of your life. Some people are just meant to fill a gap for a period of time. And if you're not willing to let them go, you may actually not be opening yourself to something new that is coming in. So it's also a thing of letting the old go and letting the new come in. So whatever has to do with fear, the word of God says that perfect love casteth out fear. Whatever has to do with fear that is not rooted in deep reverence for God, it's certainly not going to build anything healthy or worthwhile. Fear of abandonment certainly is not coming from God. And that is something that I've realized as I'm figuring out my life, that I have to be confident that in every season, God will bring the right person for that season. And if that person is meant to stay for a longer time, He will give me the grace and wisdom to know how to manage those relationships, and also know how to, impute what I'm meant to impute. And if they are meant to go, I'll have the courage to let them go, wishing them well in wherever else they go, and trusting that whoever next is meant to fill up that space would also come. This is not saying that one should not work on relationships and one should discard good relationships, but there are times people want to go. You let them go, not because you think any evil thing about them, but because you know that probably is best for them, and probably God has a better person on the way, and in order for that better person to come, maybe this older one has to go. So by the way, have you been enjoying this series? Kindly let me know, share your comments, and if this has been blessing you, please share with somebody. I believe that there are more to come, and like I said, if you have felt this way like me, experienced this thing like me, I hope you actually feel related, like you could relate to what I said. But if not, please give some of us more cheer up in the comment section. If you've overcome this feeling, if you've never felt it, then I think it's also going to educate you in case you ever come across anyone around you. Most importantly, let's try our best to be kind to whoever we relate to, not in a way people pleasing, in a way that is toxic, like I already mentioned before, but in a way as much as possible. Even if things don't work out well with you and somebody, please don't paint them black. Don't wish them bad. Just let go and let be. Yeah, if what you thought you wanted to get is not what you got, then let go and let be as much as possible. So until next time, let's say stay safe and God bless. Bye bye.